Human methods have always stood out for their extreme overkill. Admiral Talon scanned through several images on the massive screen behind him. The Battle of Yavin 5, referred to by humans as light bombardment, was the focal point. The image displayed 5 battle cruisers in orbit, each unleashing orbital artillery on the terrorist stronghold known as the Keep. If you are new here, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and hit that alien-like button. Let's get started. Over 2 megatons of ordnance obliterated a 50-square-mile area. When asked about the intensity of their methods, human ambassadors merely frowned and explained that this was typical orbital fire support. A screenshot of a human news website appeared, showing that the bombardment was so insignificant it was barely a footnote. For those not alive a century ago, the Keepers of the Sacred Word were the galaxy's most dangerous terrorist cell in over 50 years. To humans, they were nothing more than an annoyance. The next image showed a human soldier surveying the ruins of New Calante. A small fleet of frigates hovered over the smouldering city, firing at anything that moved. Despite the devastation, the soldier appeared relaxed, her rifle slung over her shoulder as she leaned against a tree. This lone soldier, part of the first wave of drop troopers, reportedly killed 57 enemy combatants single-handedly before being evacuated. Shortly after, New Calante and everything within a 200-mile radius were turned to glass by nuclear warheads. Admiral Talon continued his presentation, focusing on the specifics of the Battle of Yavin 5. The image on the screen showed 5 massive battle cruisers in perfect orbit, their artillery aimed precisely at the terrorist stronghold known as the Keep. Over 2 megatons of ordnance were dropped, obliterating a 50-square-mile area in a matter of minutes. The intensity of the bombardment was staggering. When questioned about the severity of their tactics, human ambassadors seemed perplexed. To them, this was standard procedure for orbital fire support. The sheer scale of destruction was, to them, merely an effective way to neutralize a threat. This perspective was difficult for other species to comprehend. The aftermath was equally shocking. The Keep, once a fortified terrorist hub, was reduced to rubble. The few survivors described the onslaught as apocalyptic. Yet, in human news, the event was a minor note, overshadowed by headlines about humanitarian aid and peacekeeping efforts. The contrast was stark. What others saw as overkill, humans viewed as routine military efficiency. Admiral Talon emphasized that this was not an isolated incident. It was emblematic of the human approach to warfare, decisive, overwhelming, and leaving nothing to chance. The Battle of Yavin 5 had a clear message. When humans committed to a course of action, they did so with unmatched ferocity and precision. New Calante lay in ruins, its once bustling cityscape reduced to smouldering rubble. The aftermath of the human assault was nothing short of catastrophic. A small fleet of frigates hovered above, their autocannons relentlessly firing at anything that moved. The destruction was absolute, leaving no room for resistance. Amidst the devastation stood a solitary human soldier. Her demeanor was strikingly calm, almost indifferent to the chaos around her. With a rifle slung over her shoulder, she leaned against a charred tree, surveying the ruins with a sense of detached professionalism. Reports indicated that this lone soldier had been part of the first wave of drop troopers. In the heat of battle, she had single-handedly eliminated 57 enemy combatants before being extracted. The final fate of New Calante was sealed soon after. Nuclear warheads were deployed, turning the entire city and a 200-mile radius into glass. The scale of the response was staggering, yet to humans, it was a necessary action. The Galactic Council's attempt to try humans for war crimes following this event was swiftly dismissed. The argument was simple and irrefutable. The destruction of New Calante was a desperate measure to prevent the spread of deadly viruses released by the terrorist cell. Admiral Talon paused, letting the weight of the images and stories sink in. The humans' willingness to employ such overwhelming force was both their greatest strength and the galaxy's greatest fear. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension. Delegates from countless species gathered, their eyes fixed on the human lawyer standing confidently at the center. The trial was unprecedented. Humans charged with war crimes for the annihilation of New Calante. The air was thick with anticipation and unease. The human lawyer, a figure of calm amidst the chaos, began his defense. He presented two critical points. First, the Galactic Council itself had called upon humanity to address the Calantean issue. The Keepers of the Sacred Word were a galaxy-wide threat, and the Council had sought humanity's unmatched military prowess to eliminate them. Second, he revealed that several deadly viruses had been released from the New Calante Biological Research Facility in a desperate attempt to repel the human forces. Faced with the choice of losing a city or an entire planet, humanity chose to destroy the city to prevent a greater catastrophe, the lawyer argued. His reasoning was clear and irrefutable. The council members murmured amongst themselves, the weight of the revelations sinking in. The destruction of New Calante, though extreme, was deemed a necessary evil. The trial's dismissal was swift. The charges were dropped, and the courtroom fell silent. Admiral Talon took a long drink of water before continuing his presentation. "I'd like to remind all of you," he said, "that humans glassed New Calante as a concession. Their original plan was far more drastic, proposing a quarantine of every system within a 15-light-year radius to prevent the spread of the diseases."
The room rustled with whispers of disbelief. A young officer raised her hand, her voice trembling. If a 15-light-year quarantine was considered overkill, it was. Admiral Talon chuckled darkly as he changed the slide behind him. If only we could be replied,
Admiral Talon shifted the focus to the proposed quarantine measures. The initial plan, he explained, involved isolating every system within a 15-light-year radius of New Calante. This was not a mere precaution, but a drastic attempt to prevent the spread of lethal viruses released by the Calantean terrorists. Such a quarantine would have impacted countless inhabited worlds, severing them from interstellar trade and communication. The room was abuzz with disbelief. Whispers of astonishment filled the air. A young officer, visibly shaken, voiced the question on everyone's mind. If 15-light-year quarantine wasn't considered overkill, what was? Admiral Talon let out a dark chuckle, changing the slide to reveal a more extreme proposal. A quarantine of 100 light-years was proposed as an extreme yet reasonable course of action, he stated, leaving the room in stunned silence. The implications of such measures were staggering. Entire sectors of the galaxy would have been isolated, economies crippled, and millions of lives disrupted. Yet, according to human command, this was a logical and necessary step. The willingness to consider such extreme actions highlighted humanity's unwavering commitment to safeguarding the greater good, even at a tremendous cost. Admiral Talon emphasized the broader message these proposals sent to the galaxy. Humanity viewed taking radical measures as perfectly rational if it meant neutralizing a threat. This mindset had prompted increased surveillance on human activities over the ensuing decades and centuries. What had been uncovered was both alarming and revealing. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in. This exchange served as a warning to the galaxy at large, he continued. Humanity would see taking ludicrous courses of action as perfectly sane and reasonable. Because of this, we ramped up our surveillance on human projects substantially. The room fell into a contemplative silence, the enormity of human resolve and capability clear. The galaxy had been given a stark lesson in the lengths humanity would go to ensure its survival, a lesson that left many uneasy about what other measures humans might consider reasonable. Admiral Talon emphasized the galaxy's response to humanity's extreme measures, a significant increase in surveillance on human activities. Over the years, decades and centuries, every aspect of human endeavors was meticulously monitored. The findings were nothing short of astonishing. Images flashed on the screen depicting a range of human projects. Photographs of diplomats, engineering feats, battle fleets, corporate emblems, and government insignia showcased the breadth of humanity's reach. Backroom deals and covert operations were laid bare. The scope and scale were staggering, revealing an intricate web of influence and control. What we have uncovered is both insane and incredibly revealing, Admiral Talon stated. The surveillance had shown that humanity was an intergalactic force of nature. They exerted control over at least 27 galaxies, with a presence in no fewer than 1,722 galaxies. Some estimates placed their influence in over 10,000 galaxies. The implications were profound. Humanity was not merely a galactic power, but a civilization of immense capability and reach. Their projects ranged from massive engineering undertakings to sophisticated diplomatic maneuvers. The galaxy realized it was dealing with a Type 3 civilization 100-fold. To humanity, 1,000,000 stars were a drop in the cosmic ocean. 100 light-year quarantine was a trivial inconvenience. Admiral Talon let the gravity of these revelations sink in. What we are dealing with is a civilization that views even the most drastic measures as routine, he concluded. The room remained silent, the enormity of human power and influence sinking in. This surveillance had revealed the true nature of humanity, a civilization unmatched in its capacity for both creation and destruction. The galaxy's fate seemed intricately tied to the whims and decisions of this powerful species, leaving many to ponder the balance between fear and respect in their future dealings with humanity. The surveillance had uncovered startling truths about humanity's true nature and capabilities. Their technological prowess and strategic acumen were beyond anything previously imagined. Human projects spanned galaxies, their influence touching countless worlds. They built colossal megastructures, commanded formidable battle fleets, and navigated the complexities of interstellar politics with deft precision. The reaction among the galaxy's species was one of awe and trepidation. Many were left speechless, struggling to comprehend the sheer scale of human power. The revelations prompted a mixture of admiration and fear. A deep-seated fear of their potential destruction tempers respect for humanity's accomplishments. Strategic considerations took center stage. The galaxy's leaders realized that dealing with humanity required a delicate balance. Any misstep could provoke a response of unimaginable severity. Treaties and alliances were scrutinized, with nations seeking ways to safeguard their interests without antagonizing this superpower. Admiral Talon continued to emphasize the significance of these findings. Humanity has proven time and again to be both a formidable ally and a terrifying adversary, he said. The room remained silent, the weight of his words resonating deeply. The galaxy now understood that engaging with humanity meant navigating a complex web of power dynamics. The images continued to flash on the screen, galaxy-spanning megastructures, awe-inspiring fleets, and covert operations. Each slide underscored the vast reach of human influence. What we have revealed is not just a civilization, but a force of nature, Admiral Talon concluded. The strategic landscape had shifted. The galaxy's future dealings with humanity would be shaped by these profound revelations. Understanding their true nature was the first step in navigating the delicate balance of power. The stakes were higher than ever, and the path forward required wisdom, caution, and respect. Humanity's intergalactic reach and influence were unprecedented. They were not confined to a single galaxy, but spanned across multiple. Their power extended to at least 27 galaxies, with a presence in over 1,722 more. Some estimates suggested their influence touched as many as 10,000 galaxies. This level of reach transformed humanity into a superpower unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The implications of this power were profound. Humanity's ability to shape the fate of entire galaxies meant that their actions could ripple across the cosmos. Their technological advancements were staggering, from the construction of colossal megastructures to the deployment of fleets capable of subjugating entire star systems. The galaxy's species had to contend with a civilization that could marshal resources and wield power on an unimaginable scale, unimaginable. Specific examples of human projects highlighted their extraordinary capabilities. The construction of hypergates facilitated travel and communication across vast distances, linking distant galaxies in a network of trade and influence. Their engineering prowess was evident in the creation of Dyson spheres, harnessing the energy of entire stars to fuel their civilization. Human fleets, vast and formidable, patrolled the spaceways, ensuring their dominance. Admiral Talon continued to present image after image, each one more impressive than the last. A battle fleet here, a diplomatic mission there, and covert operations everywhere. The strategic implications were clear. Humanity could project power and influence wherever they chose, with little to hinder them. The galaxy now faced a new reality. Dealing with humanity meant understanding their vast reach and unparalleled capabilities. Diplomacy, trade, and even conflict required a new level of sophistication and caution. The old ways of interstellar politics were obsolete in the face of such a superpower. The room remained silent as Admiral Talon concluded this section of his briefing. The galaxy's leaders understood that they were dealing with a civilization that viewed even the most drastic measures as routine. The path forward would be fraught with challenges, but understanding humanity's true nature was the first step in navigating this new era of intergalactic relations. Admiral Talon paused as the screen displayed a new image. The Great Rift of Althor, a cataclysmic event that had sent shockwaves across the galaxy, had opened just 10 years prior. This colossal tear in space had swallowed an entire star cluster, causing devastation on an unimaginable scale. The lethal radiation threatened to sweep across a grouping of 15,000 stars, posing an existential threat to countless civilizations. The impact was immediate and catastrophic. Entire planets went dark, communication networks failed, and ecosystems collapsed. The galaxy watched in horror as the rift expanded, consuming everything in its path. Panic spread as species scrambled to find a solution to this unprecedented disaster. Humanity's response was swift and decisive. Joining forces with 156 other species, they led a coordinated effort to halt the spread of the deadly radiation. Massive energy shields were deployed, advanced engineering solutions were implemented, and relentless research into the rift's properties commenced. Humanity's technological prowess and strategic acumen were on full display. The screen then showed a map of the Althor sector. "This is the last image received before the rift consumed it," Admiral Talon said, his voice somber. The image displayed a hypergate channel from human space to Althor. The uproar in the room was immediate. Cries of outrage and fear filled the air as officers struggled to comprehend the scale of the disaster. "Why would the humans do this?" one officer shouted. "We considered them allies." Another added, "We're doomed. God help us all." Admiral Talon raised his hand for silence. Within the Althor sector there was a plague. All it took was one carrier to decimate an entire planet. The humans saw the problem and, even they, feared it. We begged them for help, and that was their response. The screen then showed an active supermassive black hole with gargantuan constructs channeling its energy into a beam of pure annihilation. This human hyperweapon is the most destructive device the universe has ever seen, Admiral Talon concluded. The room fell into a stunned silence, the gravity of humanity's actions clear. The screen was shifted to display more detailed information about the scope. This horrific disease, once confined to the Althor sector, had the potential to decimate entire planets. A single carrier could unleash a pandemic of unimaginable proportions. The scourge spread rapidly, leaving no survivors. Planets infected by this plague went dark within days. Their populations were obliterated. Humanity's response to the scourge was to deploy their most fearsome creation, hyperweapons. The screen displayed a quasar, an active supermassive black hole harnessed by gargantuan constructs to channel its energy into a beam of pure annihilation. This hyperweapon represented the pinnacle of destructive technology. It could obliterate entire star systems, leaving nothing but void in its wake. The humans call this weapon the Quasar Annihilator, Admiral Talon explained. They have harnessed the power of the quasar, focused it, and used it when overkill is truly necessary. The room remained silent, the sheer power of such a weapon instilling a sense of dread among the assembled officers. The implications for the galaxy were profound. The existence of such hyperweapons meant that humanity could neutralize any threat with unparalleled efficiency. Their willingness to use such destructive force demonstrated a commitment to survival at any cost. The galaxy had to acknowledge that humanity's technological prowess and strategic acumen were unmatched. More images and data about the scourge appeared on the screen. Humans had encountered this disease in other galaxies, and each encounter had pushed them to develop increasingly powerful solutions. Admiral Talon surveyed the room, his gaze steady. "I say with great certainty that the scourge is the only thing I've ever known to make a human admiral queasy with 100% certainty." He paused, letting the gravity of his words sink in. "We exist at humanity's whims and could be eradicated just as easily. My final wisdom to all of you is this. Humans have proven time and time again to be nothing if not helpful. They show no signs of undue aggression, form treaties, and broker peace. They check all the boxes of a civilized species. But under no circumstances should we go against the grain with humanity. They know best and have enough firepower to make us see or blind us with it, should they see fit. Standard practice to them is apocalypse to us. Overkill to them is annihilation to the whole universe." The room fell into a contemplative silence, the enormity of humanity's power and resolve clear. The galaxy had much to consider in the face of such overwhelming capability.